Hey everyone, Rick here from Port Zero Cyber. So in today's tutorial, we're going to walk you through a full attack chain using just some of the tools in Kali Linux. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by scanning a vulnerable machine, which is our Metasploitable2 machine with inside our VM or a virtual environment. We're going to identify some weaknesses, exploit one of them, utilizing Metasploit in the MSF console. And then we're going to escalate our access with inside the environment. So this is how real-world attackers would operate. And remember, what we're doing here, it's all done in a controlled environment, virtual lab environment. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with Nmap. Our target is going to be our Metasploitable2 VM that we've installed on our VirtualBox. The IP address for our target is going to be end in 227.4. So we'll start off with this. So in our Kali machine, we're going to run Nmap. We're going to run a version scan of all ports on our target machine. And we're going to let that run. So we'll be back in a minute. It'll take about a minute or two to run. So with the magic of video editing, we'll bring it right back as soon as we get the results of this. Okay, so as you can see, we've got all our results back from our full system scan, our full port scan. As you can see right here, all the ports that we found, the state of them are open right now. So anywhere from starting with port 21 all the way through 58,539. So we've got a whole different array. So basically what we're looking at right now for this is starting with port 21, we've got FTP service, and looking at the version, VSFTPD 2.3.4 or .4. So we've seen that. We know that's an old version that's got a known backdoor. So we're going to try and use that as our entry point. Okay, so with that, so that's port 21. Let's clear this out so everything's ready easily to see. So now we're going to confirm that VSFTP, that version is vulnerable in Searchsploit. So this tool, it searches the exploit database right from your terminal. So we're going to use the Searchsploit tool. So Searchsploit VSFTPD 2.3.4. And that shoots our back two results. One of them is backdoor command execution, and one is backdoor command execution with Metasploit. And so that's what we're going to try and utilize. So with that, let's go to our MSF console. And we're going to run that in quiet mode. Reason why I do that is so those of you who know about MSF console, if you run it without the Q flag, it's going to give you the big banner and everything else. So basically, we just want our MSF prompt. So we'll let that run for a second. Typically, this will take about anywhere from a couple seconds to even sometimes over a minute. So we'll let this run for a second. All right, so now we've got our prompt. So inside the MSF console, we've got all different types of modules. So since there is a known exploit within the exploit DB of this version of FTP with VSFTP and that version number, so we're going to do a search for the modules within inside of this. So VSFTPD, and as you can see, so right away, MSF console comes back with two different matching modules for exploits. And the one that we want is, so as you see, they're numbered from 0 to 1. And the one we want is the backdoor. So that's an excellent rank. And we've got our backdoor command execution. So instead of typing out that whole thing with inside our prompt, we want to use 1. So with our matching module number 1. So we'll do that. As you can see, our exploit comes back here. So now what we want to do is we want to be able to set our attack machine. That's where we want to go. So we want to do a set our hosts, and then we'll run the 192.168.227.4. So we set that as our victim machine, or the one we want to attack. And now we're going to run. So as you can see here, what we've got is we ran this, and we've got now, since it did use the backdoor, it immediately, you can see where it says right here, we've got a banner in this. So we've got the IP address, the .4 with the port 21, with a colon 21 for the port. We've got our banner. We've got a successful banner with a coming back as 220. First is a user, and then we've got a backdoor service that was spawned with just handling the root. So right here, we've got a UID, or user ID of root, with a group ID of root as well. So it did find a shell, and we have a session that was created. So session number 1 was opened at the time and date. So with that, let's verify what we have. So one of the first things we're going to do, we're going to run who am I? And it tells us we're root, even though it told us right before the session was established, but we're just verifying this. So now what we can do is, since we've gotten into the system and we're now identified as root, so now we want to do some post-exploitation. So we'll run a few commands, we'll be able to run what type of system this is running on. So we'll get some good information here. We'll run it on a Linux system, Metasploitable2, and as you can see, it kind of gives us that information there. So maybe we want to be able to see enumerate users or different accounts and stuff like that. So actually, let's figure out where we're at right now, actually, as far as directories and where we're at in the system. So PWD, parent working directory, or just what our present working directory is. So PWD, it tells us right now we're at root. So we know the /, it's going to be a root. So let's do a cat etc password. And now here we can enumerate the different accounts that are in this, inside this vulnerable machine, starting with root. It's always going to start with root. And as we can go down this list, we can look at all the different accounts. We've got a user account here, and many other different accounts. Okay, so we can actually figure out what processes are running on this machine. So let's run a netstat-tulmp. And as we can see, we've got a bunch of different processes running, and the state of them are listening. We've got the process IDs to go along with these ports that are for the addresses. So if we run down here, we know we've got, if we figure out what service is running, so we've got an Apache 2, which is going to be a web server. So that should be port 80 right there, Apache 2. And then we've got a bunch of other services. So why is this important? So if we wanted to go further on, and we'll make some videos later on about this, but getting the process IDs are really important, because we can pivot utilizing different process IDs. We can be able to figure out what's going on, and maybe we can pivot and off of some of these IPs, or the process IDs, I should say. So here are the running processes, so we're able to enumerate those. Let's see. Let's take a look at what we're looking at that root has. So we've got our different directories. So we've got a home directory here. So we're going to CD to home. We'll figure out what's there on our home directory. So we've got FTP, MSF admin, service, and user. So from here, we can go ahead and we can try to enumerate, or try to figure out what other types of, maybe some sensitive files somewhere. So I see something that kind of hits out to me as MSF admin. So we're going to change directory over to that MSF admin, and we're going to kind of enumerate that with an ls, with our listing the types of files we have in there. So we've got a shell executable Linux file in there. We've got vulnerable. So we'll cd to vulnerable. And this is just part of the process that attackers use to be able to figure out, utilizing the shell that they have to be able to figure out how much further and what type of assets they can find with inside that target environment. So we're going to ls that, and inside of vulnerable, we've got some other stuff here. So if we want to cd to MySQL, SSL, ls, and you can see it inside there. We got MySQL keys, stuff like that. So this is just an enumeration right now. See what kind of privileges we have with inside of using SS or LSLA. This kind of tells us what kind of privileges we have with inside of this directory. So as you can see, we've enumerated users, processes, services, and we're looking for potentially sensitive files. So from here, an attacker could establish persistence, exfiltrate data, or even pivot deeper into the network, like I was talking about, understanding what processes are running and getting process ID. So that'll be for another video another time. But this here was kind of going through the attack chain from doing recon to root, utilizing Nmap, and all the way to using MSF console to get into the system and doing some post-exploitation work to be able to kind of do some enumeration with inside our environment. So hopefully you got a little bit out of this. All right, so just in a few steps, we went from network reconnaissance to root access utilizing Kali Linux. This is why patching and service hardening, they're critical for any organization. So in future videos, we're going to take this even further. We're going to look at persistence, data exfiltration, and privilege escalation. So if you found this video helpful, subscribe, follow along as we continue to break down other security techniques safely and ethically. So stay sharp and stay vigilant.